Eamonn Holmes blasts BBC's decision on Gary Lineker's Match of the Day replacement. Eamonn Holmes has hit out at the BBC regarding Match of the Day's future, with Gary Lineker set to step down as presenter after the season. Veteran broadcaster Eamonn Holmes has blasted the BBC for potentially eyeing a younger host to take over Match of the Day, declaring they would be wasting their time. The 64-year-old TV personality vented on the direction of the BB's flagship football show as it was revealed Gary Lineker, 63, would bow out from his longtime role at the season's end after more than 2 decades. On GB News with co-host Isabel Webster, when touted as an excellent pick himself, Eamonn lambasted the corporation's alleged strategy. During Wednesday's program, he remarked, "See, they also do this ridiculous thing in the BBC, it's always been the case, try and get a younger audience. So what does that mean? Get a younger host. And younger people do not watch television. So why are they wasting their time?" His co-presenter Isabel chipped in, suggesting youth might enjoy replays while nursing a hangover, but Eamonn didn't buy it. He continued, "No, they watch it on their phones and on their devices." The X This Morning anchor stated confidently, "The best thing about Match of the Day is the music." Speculation abounds regarding Gary's successor, amidst whispers of a fresher-faced presenter being courted by the BBC. It has been rumored that Mark Chapman, 51, who fronts Match of the Day 2, declined a proposal to team up with 33-year-old Kelly Summers as contenders of the coveted position. A source conveyed to The Sun, as soon as Gary's deal was done, BBC sport director Alex K. Jelski made it clear he wanted Mark and Kelly to replace him. It would effectively be a job share and they would rotate hosting duties between them. Mark has made it clear within the team at MOTD that this isn't something he would want to do. He doesn't want a job share, he wants Gary's role as his own, which is understandable. It's a headache for the BBC because they thought they'd found an easy solution. On the Sports Agents podcast, Gabby Logan sees the chance to gently tease her co-host when Chapman's phone interrupted the recording. "I know, yeah, that's the BBC, Match of the Day," she quipped, much to the delight of their social media followers. Responding with good humor, Chapman said, "Haha. I tell you what, honestly, I don't know what it's like for you at the moment, but bloody hell, I could do with a PA at the moment." The position at Match of the Day could potentially go to an array of talents, such as former Lioness Alex Scott. Thea Walcott and Joe Hart are mentioned too, as they've recently joined the pundit team, while veterans Dion Dublin and Alan Shearer are considered frontrunners. Veteran broadcaster Eamonn Holmes has sharply criticized the BBC's decision to make changes to the lineup for Match of the Day following Gary Lineker's temporary suspension. Holmes, who is known for his candid opinions, took to social media and his broadcasting platforms to express his dissatisfaction with how the BBC handled the situation. Lineker, the longtime host of the flagship football highlights show, was taken off the air in March 2023 after a tweet he posted criticizing the government's immigration policy was deemed to breach the BBC's impartiality guidelines. While Lineker was later reinstated after widespread public support, the incident raised questions about the BBC's editorial decisions and its handling of high-profile personalities. Following the controversy, the BBC opted to have a rotating roster of presenters host Match of the Day in Lineker's absence, with names such as Steve Bauer, Mark Chapman, and others filling in for the show. However, it was the decision to appoint a temporary host from the BBC's own ranks that Holmes found particularly baffling. In his recent comments, Holmes blasted the decision to feature a so-called replacement, rather than standing firm on the broadcaster's commitment to Lineker. He referred to it as an act of inconsistency and a missed opportunity to stand by one of their most recognizable figures. Holmes pointed out that Lineker had been a longtime stalwart for the BBC, both in terms of presenting Match of the Day and as a former footballer with the stature to match. The broadcaster, he argued, should have used the situation to reaffirm its support for Lineker rather than making hasty adjustments that reflected poorly on its judgment. The BBC made a rod for its own back. Why replace Lineker with someone else when you could have used this moment to back him publicly? There's no consistency in the way they handled it. They could have turned this into a real moment of unity, but instead, they let the situation fester, Holmes said during a segment on his show. Holmes also took issue with the fact that the BBC allowed a temporary solution to persist, calling it a knee-jerk reaction rather than a well-thought-out strategy. He argued that such decisions ultimately undermine the BBC's credibility and its standing as a public service broadcaster. According to Holmes, these quick fixes only serve to confuse viewers and tarnish the BBC's reputation. The incident also sparked broader debates about the role of public service broadcasters in handling social media commentary from their high-profile employees. Many critics, including Holmes, suggested that the BBC was overly cautious in dealing with Lineker's tweet, bowing to external pressures rather than adhering to its own editorial principles. Holmes expressed the opinion that the BBC should be brave in its defense of free speech, particularly when its employees are making legitimate comments in the public interest. In the aftermath of the controversy, Lineker returned to Match of the Day and resumed his role as host, but the debate surrounding the handling of the situation continues to simmer. Many within the broadcasting industry have since questioned the BBC's overall approach to impartiality, especially when it comes to social media activity by its stars. Holmes concluded his remarks by calling for more transparency and clearer guidelines when it comes to managing the balance between impartiality and personal expression. The BBC needs to be more transparent about its values. Is it about standing up for your presenters, or is it about appeasing political pressure? He asked. While Lineker's return was a victory for many fans who had rallied behind him during the suspension, Holmes' critique highlights ongoing concerns within the media industry about the future of broadcasting in an era where social media and political discourse are more intertwined than ever. As the BBC moves forward, it remains to be seen whether it will make further efforts to address the issues raised during the controversy or whether this will be a chapter in its history that fades with time. However, for figures like Eamonn Holmes, the handling of Lineker's case remains a symbol of deeper challenges facing public broadcasters in navigating the complexities of modern media landscapes. Analysis. Eamonn Holmes' remarks highlight a deepening rift between media personalities and institutions, with calls for a more consistent and transparent approach to broadcasting policies. The controversy surrounding Gary Lineker has not only impacted the BBC's relationship with its staff but also raised critical questions about the intersection of media, politics, and free speech. As Holmes suggests, the BBC's failure to fully back Lineker during a challenging moment has likely eroded trust among both staff and viewers, making it harder for the public service broadcaster to maintain its standing as a beacon of impartiality. Moreover, the situation with Lineker and the BBC's subsequent handling of it could have broader implications for the future of broadcasting, with other networks and platforms closely watching how the issue unfolds. If the BBC is to regain the confidence of its audience and talent, it may need to reassess how it navigates the increasing tensions between political neutrality, social media expression, and the demands of a divided public. As the debate continues, broadcasters like Eamonn Holmes may continue to hold institutions like the BBC accountable for their decisions, adding to the ongoing conversation about the evolving role of public service media in today's complex political and social landscape.